So hello everybody, welcome once again to this webinar that is called Evaluation the Art of Asking Questions. I am Dana Solonian and I'm working in FERSO Foundation in Poland, and I work mainly as volunteer coordinator and trainer. And this webinar that you're about to attend actually, it's one of the free webinars that we are organizing in the frames of a project that is called EVSification, and here you have big written the name. And EVSification is a project between Romania, Poland, and Slovakia on improving the quality of EVS projects. Now, what we want to do with this webinar is to talk about, of course, evaluation. What does it mean? What is the benefit for you, but also for the volunteers? And very important from my perspective, as at least as coordinator, how should we conduct evaluation sessions? The way I am trying to do this, or the way I'm hoping to pass you the information, is from a rather practical point of view. So we'll try to give examples. I will also try to share our experience or my experience with you, because I know that literature is a lot, but actually when we confront, the most important is, what do I have to do? Yeah, so I will try to answer to what do I have to do. And now one last information a bit about the structure of the webinar. We are having 1 hour presentation, the one that you just opened and you can see. And then we will have 15 minutes, as Dorota was saying, for question and answer. Hope is everything clear about how to use the chat and so on. So I'm moving forward. I'm new into this webinar thing, so in case you see that I'm slow in some aspects, yeah, you will just have to be patient a bit. And the structure, what we are going to talk about today, is we'll have a short introduction and 15 minutes. Okay. We will have a short introduction, and we will try to change or to challenge, or we will see the perspective on what means evaluation. Then we will try to give it a frame, a definition. Then we will see what types of evaluation, or actually what should we evaluate in EVS projects. Then a very important topic, and I will try to dedicate a lot of time to this, it is how to conduct an evaluation session, how to do it properly, what is the methodology behind. Then going a bit further into the methodology, I will try to focus on asking questions. The title of the webinar is indicated that I see, this is my opinion and this is my input on evaluation. I see evaluation as an important thing, dialogue meeting, and a way to ask questions. So we will focus a bit on this, how do we address proper question. Then we will see, okay, so you address the question and you have some answers. What do you do with these answers? So we will try to figure it out a bit on, or to discuss on evaluation findings and how to solve problems. I wouldn't call them problems, but how to find solution for what we discovered during evaluation. And then as I told you, this practical element is very important for me. So I will try to show you how we do it in our organization. So how does evaluation look in our organization? What types of evaluation we are having? How often? What types of tools we are using? And then conclusion, and it will be time for questions from your side.
Please put a dot on the picture that describes your attitude to evaluation. Let's start.
Wow! I didn't expect it.
Me too. Wow. Very creative.
So when you're hearing evaluation, do you feel like rather something I want to do, or is something like I must do? So is it like a blessing or a burden? Do you feel like, oh shit, it's coming again, that moment in the month? Or do you think, ah, great, it's coming again, the moment in the month?
Okay. I think that we have a kind of picture of what are
I
the
also
thoughts
do.
about evaluation.
And I see actually something that it's contradicting a bit what I know so far, but it's okay. It means that we are diverse and we have different points of view.
Cool, cool. So we are moving forward, okay? Yeah.
So now this will come as a shock after seeing so many dots there on blessing and little crowns also. But actually, the literature, my personal experience, and even the research that we did in the frames of this project show that coordinators very often consider evaluation as a judgment moment of a system that deals with problems. And this is one of the issue. I hear very often also that coordinators are complaining about lacking time for evaluation. And I'm a coordinator, so I know that time is extremely precious, especially in EVS projects. But this, I have to be honest, I'm a bit puzzled with this idea, because I know, and you all know, what means to have an EVS project and what a work it is. It's contacting partners, writing project applications, finding volunteers, exchanging hundreds of papers, making financial agreements, dealing with accommodation and so on. So it's such a long way and so much effort. And then I hear I don't have time to check if I'm doing well what I'm doing or if I'm successful, because evaluation is about this. So this is something I failed a bit to understand. Then I hear a second reason is I'm afraid of evaluation. And this is also something I can empathize with, because yeah, you're afraid of being judged, and volunteers is also afraid of being judged. And like I'm coming from Romania, and I know how is the educational system, and I know that tests are the way that measure us somehow, and they determine either if we are good or bad. So we somehow, or I somehow, still keep this trauma inside me that whenever I'm having an evaluation or a test, a new way of test, is someone that is judging me and someone that will say to me, I'm good or I'm bad. So I can empathize with this also. And then I hear the third thing about evaluation, and it is the coordinators that are very focused on the relation. So the coordinators that want to be nice, and that they think that evaluation is criticizing. So if you're criticizing, then the relation between you and the volunteer might not be that good, and they are somehow afraid of this. So I hear these three main issues when it comes to evaluation. And I want to propose you to change a bit. I don't know if you're among those that relate to this or not, but to the ones that do, I want to try to look at evaluation from a different perspective. And I want you to look at evaluation as a dialogue meeting when actually you're supporting each other in your development process. So I want you to take a stand and to look at it as a way to enrich you and to make you, well, like, better, both you and your volunteer. Why evaluation is important and why I think we should change this perspective. It is because if you do not have evaluation, if you do not give feedback, then it means that you're sending a very clear message that the work or the quality of the work your volunteering is doing, or the volunteering itself, it's not important. And even if we're talking about volunteers that do their job very good, and they need recognition, and they need, hey, bravo, you did it well. And even if we're talking about volunteers that need some improvements, or they need more support, it is a clear way, evaluation is a clear way of doing this, of showing the improvement. So what I would like what I suggest is to look at it not as an evaluation, maybe even change the name into a dialogue meeting where we support each other. Also, I want to draw attention on a very important fact, that is, we try to focus a lot, or we tend to focus a lot on the volunteers that are causing us problems, But we are forgetting that actually most of the volunteers are doing their job, and they are doing it well. And we should offer them a space and a time where we can say this to them. And so I would also like you to stop switching the mind and focus also on the volunteers that are doing their job well. And how do we start changing our perspective? It's by acknowledging that most volunteers do the best job they can. They did not come there, or they did not sign in for your project just to say, I will just play around. This is the moment. And also, most volunteers will win. And I would add here, and coordinators. This is very important. And coordinators, I missed that information now, will win from having evaluation. So this being said, I think what we should do is to try to create a culture of dialogue in our organizations, and to try to change focus from dealing with problems into evolving or into developing. And actually all the rest of the slides and all the rest of the presentation, for each information that I will be giving it to you, I will actually try to emphasize this need for dialogue and this need for changing the perspective, and you will see how. So why do I think this change of perspective is benefits, and why do I think that evaluation is good for all of us? Because when you're conducting evaluation as a dialogue, you basically collect information, and we know both, like we all know that besides that we need information for ourselves to see how it's going on and so on, and for the volunteers and to be able to provide feedback, we also need information for reporting. So taking even from a very down-to-earth, pragmatic perspective, then we see your past, what were your past action and where you are now actually. Because as I said some time ago, we have all this work that we are putting into, and we need a moment to stop and to breathe and to reflect on what is happening, and is it all our effort worthwhile or not, or what is going on and what is not going on well. So it's to see where you were in the past. Of course, it's about assessing if you're going into the right direction, if what you wrote in the project and what were your objectives are achieved. Dorota is drawing me attention about the function of using the pencil. And get a more clear, it's also a moment of getting a more clear image about who is responsible for what. Or is your organization working efficiently? Is the structure clear? And about this, about getting a more clear image, I want to give an example from my personal example. I was 5 years ago volunteer here in FERSO, and we, as a group of volunteers, we got this task of folding flyers. Very easy task, no? The FERSO was having an event somewhere in the city, and they told us that our task is to fold flyers. We received this information from our project coordinator. We went on the spot in the organization, and some person, a colleague, came and told us how we should fold the flyers and what papers we should put when and where and so on. After half an hour, another colleague came and asked us why we do it in this way. And we tried to explain her, because we received this task, we were delegated as such. And she said, no, this is not, I'm the coordinator of this project, I'm coordinator of this event, and I know better. You shouldn't do it like this, unfold everything that you did, and do it the way I say it. This is a true story. So we received actually, there were 3 people involved in delegating an easy task. And what happened is that we had evaluation session during the next evaluation session, and we of course complained about this, that our work is not being respected, that it was a confusion. And I think we were quite determined, let's just put it like this, because our feedback reached the people in the organization, and they decided to have a meeting and to change the structure of the organization and the way they communicate. So we actually, by a simple evaluation session, we managed to change the structure of the organization. And the structure is still functioning until these days. And it happened as a result of an event that was 5 years ago. So this is just for you to know how important it is and how it can help you even to get an image on how it's working the organization as a whole. Then, of course, you have a bigger picture. You know how are the beneficiaries, how satisfied they are, who is working with who is interacting with whom, how well are working the relation, what needs to be done more, is it clear or not. Then, of course, it's a moment to plan the future direction of development. Yes, and I think it's clear for everybody. We assess what it was in the past, but we also plan, and the evaluation has a very important function here. And then it is a way to build your relation with the volunteer. Because, of course, when you're having a dialogue meeting, as I was insisting on, it is the way to connect with your volunteer. It's the way to talk to him. It's the way to listen to him. It's very important to listen to him, and in that way to solve. As you can see, number 8 is acts as a tool for conflict prevention. So to solve potential issues or potential questions that they might have. So it's a way to build your relation. I will talk a bit later about this also, but for me, it's also a very good way to motivate volunteer. For me, it's a way that you can all the time reinforce them about the reason of their staying here, about the mission of your organization and why they are important in your organization, in the structure. So now we will move on for the benefits for the volunteer. So the first one and most important one is that EVS, it's a learning opportunity, it's a learning experience, it's about personal development. And we all know as coordinators that this is an important part of having an EVS project. So the best way of showing respect and appreciation and I don't know, value this part of personal development is by giving the possibility to volunteer to improve. And how do they improve? By receiving feedback. So the first two, it's about personal development, and it's about reaching their potential and receiving the task that matches with their needs and with the abilities. It's also a possibility to reflect on their achievements, strengths, and weaknesses. You can tell them as an objective viewer what is their strengths and weaknesses. You can watch them how they work in the group, if they prefer rather individual work or group work, if they are more outgoing and into contact with beneficiaries, or they prefer to stand back. You can give them and share this feedback with them. It's also, this is a very important way. It's a method where EVS volunteers can share their doubts, complaints about their voluntary work, about their environment, and about their work relations. So it's a moment where they can really say what they are having on their soul. I want to say here a very important thing: not all EVS volunteers are so outgoing and open. So and it's a cultural thing, I guess, also. So not everybody will just stop you on the hallway and say, "Hey, I have an issue. Do you have 5 minutes to listen to me?" Some, they really need a more formal environment and even an instrument like a questionnaire or a method to share their things. Not everybody is feeling very comfortable, especially when it comes to this negative part. So this is why evaluation is also very important. Here is what I was mentioning also, like being more involved in their organization activities, which help them to keep motivation, because they are volunteers, so they are doing something for the community. So they need to understand why their little work, making the copies, help the bigger picture. How does it fit in the bigger picture, and how does it influence on the life of the final beneficiaries? So I don't know, how taking pictures in the conference, for example, I'm just thinking on my own project, taking pictures in the conference help with the visibility of the LGBT community. Yeah, again, I'm thinking of my project. How important it is this? How important it is to show that in our city we have a conference on human rights and anti-discrimination towards gay, and his work, taking these pictures, good quality pictures, help this. And then, of course, the last point is giving their input and showing appreciation to their ideas, showing openness. And to be honest, like, they are in contact with beneficiaries. At least my volunteers are a lot in contact with the beneficiary. So a lot of times they know better what are their needs than I do. So listening to their ideas and appreciating their input is very important. So I would like you to think about it rather as a relation and rather as something you build a relation. Think of even on your relation and think of how important it is from time to time to have conversation. So you can complain, but also to give suggestions, to evaluate, to see where you're going further. So this is the main idea that I would like to share with you. The importance of having evaluation and the importance of communicating and having a dialogue. So now I will give our definition of what is evaluation. So it's an important instrument for receiving and feedback and for improving the way your EVS project is organized. It's a cooperative, supportive dialogue between the organization and the volunteer, and that volunteer should evaluate the overall project, the activities, the relation, and the learning experience. About what we should evaluate, we will talk very soon. But generally, this is what this is our definition of evaluation. Okay, so this is like a sum up of everything I was saying so far. And from my perspective, there are two basic reasons for conducting volunteer evaluation. One is to focus on the volunteer, and it's supporting the volunteer to get closer to their potential and to work on their potential. And the second one is focused on the organization and on you as a coordinator, and is to help the organization and you to better involve their volunteer and therefore like to better work. It's for on the organizational side. And now I want to focus a bit about job position. Job position is important. Job position description, because as you probably know, you have participated in other projects. When you're having evaluation, any type of evaluation, you refer to your objectives. Yes, so project, training, this webinar has certain objectives. And when you're evaluating, you report to those objectives. But now we are having volunteers. So EVS volunteers, what actually are our objectives? Our objectives are exactly these, or mainly these. So job position. Job position is mainly covering, that job position description is mainly covering the objectives that we are having for our EVS volunteers. So it's important to know what they are supposed to do, what is their objectives, what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to do it, how do we measure it. Lousy job position produce lousy evaluation sessions. Or, as one of my guru in volunteering management says, that I really recommend, and if I can share the source with you, if you don't know what you want from your volunteers, why should they? So if you don't have it clear, how do you expect them to perform according to your expectation, or to know how it's going on? So job position, it's important. It can be even a line. If it says clear to you and to your volunteers what they are supposed to do, it's perfect. Okay, now what should we evaluate in EVS? EVS is this rather big concept because it's not a regular or volunteering program. Yes, we have this intercultural experience, we have the personal development, and then we have also this very pragmatic realities such as accommodation and language lessons and relations in the flat and all these issues, or financial independence. Some volunteers are for the first time in their life financially independent, for example. So we have all these various aspects and various people that should take care of evaluating them, and it's important to address all of these aspects from time to time at least. But basically, I want to focus now on work evaluation and on personal development because these are the most important ones. Even though I do believe that, for example, an evaluation with the language teacher or whoever is giving the language lesson, it's really important, or having evaluation about the flat conditions and so on. But about work evaluation, basically, work evaluation is for the work evaluation is in charge of the project coordinator or the project supervisor. I don't know, different organizations that have different structures. So in some cases it's the project coordinator. In some cases it can be the supervisor, the person that is working on a daily basis with a volunteer. And it should address basically questions such as, are you satisfied, or in what degree you're satisfied, or on what parts are you satisfied with the work you're doing? Are you satisfied with the work relation? Are you happy with the task that you've been delegated? Do you want to switch to something else? Do you need more support maybe, or do you need more freedom? Because some volunteers might need more freedom and might need more, while others might need more support and more guidance. No, so this is what what work evaluation should cover in EVS project. And then we have the second part that is important, and I was mentioning this beautiful flower here. It's showing you. And it's the personal development in EVS. And I don't know how many of you have this practice of having a learning contract with your EVS volunteers, or in what form or something. But generally, it should refer to what it is written formally or non-formally in a learning contract. So is the tasks and the experience as part of the EVS project fulfilling their personal goals? Are they developing competencies, and if yes, what competencies? Or if not, what type of support do they need in order to develop those competencies? Or even more, as is happening very, very often, at least in our organization, do you as a volunteer develop competencies that you were not even aware of? Like, this is something that is surprising, like something you did not plan, but look, it's happening, and you develop so much, and now you know on a lot of things on how to, I don't know, make a video. Yeah, and this was not your intention, but it just happened. Of course, in the personal development, it's also a part that you have to evaluate is the personal project, because as we know, EVS is a lot about personal projects also, and we should give space for the volunteer to assess also how it's going on with your personal project. Okay, and now how we do this evaluation. And I want to present you a methodology that is so easy. And that is working actually for all evaluation, and it's called RAP. So you can try to remember after the rapping style of music. And it's basically, you have to review the past, analyze the present, and plan the future. So it's very easy, 3 steps, very easy to remember. RAP methodology: review the past, analyze the present, plan the future. And when it's about reviewing the past, how I usually do it is that I either ask the volunteer to make a list of things that he or she did in the last month. I can help also with remembering him the things that we were doing or the task that he or she had. But you can also go a bit more crazy, and I actually encourage you to go a bit more crazy. and to put them, for example, to draw or to make a collage. Or I heard once a very nice idea. There is a rope, and on the rope you can think of the process and mark with some objects that you have in the room the key moments. Yes, so it's a way of trying to remember what you did in the past, because you cannot analyze where you are and you cannot plan the future if you do not remember actually what has been done so far. So the first part is just to review the past, and then analyze the future. The present, it is the moment. Okay, so I did graphics for this event. I organized 2 workshops. I did this. This was important for me or not. How do I feel with all of this now? Where I am now? What it gives to me now? So it's the stop in the moment. Stop in the present, be aware on how are you with all these things now. And then based on this, am I okay or not okay, or okay with this but less with this? Then you have to plan the future. And then it's, again, because it's a dialogue meeting, it's planning together the future, and I want to insist on this. So it's planning together, and it's okay. Of course, we are talking about volunteering, and volunteering is the meeting of 3 needs. One is the organization, the other is the volunteers, and the third is the local community. Yes. So when you're planning the future, you take care of all these 3 needs. But it is a dialogue meeting. You're doing it together. And if it's needed, then you reinforce the volunteer and you remind the volunteer that we are here together, all 3 components. And when we are planning the project, the future steps, we are taking into consideration the needs of 3, but again, in a dialogue. Now, which 3 components I see here? 3 components, it is, again, so needs. It's local community, yes, so your beneficiaries, it can be children, it can be seniors, it can be LGBT community, it can be people with disabilities. So who are you doing the work for? The local community, the beneficiaries. Then you have the needs of the volunteer, of course, and his personal needs to develop. And then you have the needs of the organization. So what do I need? You're actually acting as a intermediate between the volunteer and the local community, but the organization also has its own needs. And now I want to focus on questions, because evaluation, it's about questions, or a big part of evaluation is about questions. Either we are talking about questionnaires, or we are just having an open meeting, or even if we are debriefing after we are having some non-formal tool or of evaluation. It's all in the end about questions. The key for every evaluation is how do we address questions. And now, how do we address questions? So we get an honest feedback that is not judgmental, because we already know that we are afraid of that and we don't want that. That is inspiring, that is solution focused, that is not closing. So how do we address questions? I want to tell you about the importance of addressing questions by inviting you to an activity. And I want you to think for a second, to read, and I will give you some time to read, and to say, try to guess, if you don't know, who said the following quote. So take your time and read, and write on the chat. It doesn't have to be like, we are not here to judge. It's just about, let's see, who said the following quote. Some ideas. I see here Steve Jobs. Could be. Okay. So I see. I'm betting on Steve. Okay. I will, yes, it's true. I see that somebody, an EVS coordinator is good. A very wise one. Actually, the answer is here, and it's Einstein. Einstein said that if he would have a problem, he would take 55 minutes, determine the proper question, because he knows that then he could solve the problem. So congratulations for knowing the answer. And now I want to say why it's important to address good questions or deep questions or powerful questions. And I want to say this was inspired by a book that I was reading, actually an article book that is extremely interesting, and it was about the art of powerful questions. You can Google it. And they are saying in a very nice article that the usefulness of knowledge we acquire and the effectiveness of the action we take depend on the quality, and this is the important part, of the questions we ask. Questions open door to dialogue and to discovery, and this is what we are all trying to do. And this are the base and the premises for the webinar today. Seeing evaluation as a dialogue and a possibility to develop a discovery. So now the specialists say that in order to have a good question, or a good question means that you should generate curiosity. So it doesn't have to be like banal, I don't know, like if it's not relevant to the person and it's not having something there, then it's not a good proper question. So generate curiosity, stimulate reflective conversation, thought-provoking. They are somehow all interconnected. So reflection and thought-provoking. Surface underlining assumptions. So it's something that helps you to move on from a place to develop. Invites creativity, generates energy and forward movement. So rather focus on solutions. Stays with the participants, something that I will still keep with me, even if the webinar is ending, for example. Touches a deep meaning. And in EVS volunteering, I think it's important to touch the deeper meaning of everything the volunteers is doing, and in the end evokes more questions. So it's connected with this. It stays with the participant, something that stays with us and makes us have more questions and willingness to discover ourselves. So this is what makes a good question. And now I would like to invite you for our next activity, and the task is to write on your chat which question is the most and the least powerful. So which, in your opinion, which one of these words here, yes, makes the most powerful question or the least powerful question? So yeah, Dorota is helping me. Which question is the most powerful and the less powerful? Less who, most how. Okay, thank you. Most powerful why. Yes, no question. Okay, yes, no, I understand that is the less powerful. Most powerful how, less powerful who. Yes, no, okay. Less who why. Just do it instinctively. There is again no right wrong answer, just do it instinctively. How, why is the most powerful? What, yes, not. Okay, yes, not. No space for dialogue. Okay. Yes, no is the least. Okay. So yeah, so you more or less how most, where less, why most. Okay. Instinctively, you answered like good, like everybody is answering, because I think we all somehow know this, have these answers inside us. So I will show you the pyramid of powerful questions. This is not according to me, this is according again to some specialists, and I took it from this book, this article that is called The Art of Powerful Questions. And they say that yes, no, as most of you said, is the less powerful because it's giving no options. So do you like jam? Yes, no. I can tell you no, and that's all. I can tell you yes, and that's all. Then if you are moving further, you have which, and it's let's take the jam example. Do you like jam? Yes. Which jam? Strawberry jam. Yes. So this is already adding a bit more deepness to our dialogue, and a bit more deepness to our what we want to communicate and what we want to find out. And then they say that who, where, and when have the same power. So who makes the best strawberry jam, or something like this. Then we have what, how, and how is a very, very powerful question. And we will see on an example a bit later. And on the top of the pyramid, we have why. But with why, there is an issue. And if we have coaches here, then those coaches know that there is an issue with why. In coaching, they are saying that there is no why question because it's self-explanatory. So if you're asking why you did like this, then the volunteer or the person that you're talking to has the feeling that he has to protect themselves, to explain, to justify themselves of their action. And this is actually blocking. I don't want to talk to you because I'm afraid of judging. I don't want to give you explanation. So about why there is an issue, but in the art of the dialogue is still put it in the top of the pyramid when you're not referring to the person. So you're not using why to address why you did like this, but rather to the situation, what caused this, why it's happening like this. And I will try to exemplify by showing you the example. So here is how we can build, and this is how I recommend you also to try to build your questions. So if you're starting from a yes, no question, are you satisfied with our working relation? Yes. And then you can upgrade it. When, so it's already next level. Have you been most satisfied with our working relation? Then you upgrade it even more. What is about our working relation that you find most satisfying? Yes. So it's already going deeper. You know, you can get a very concrete answer to this question. Or you can you can really go into what is happening into the volunteer's mind. And then you have the final question. Why might it be that our working relation has its ups and downs? And here, as you can see, I'm not putting the question on the volunteer. I'm not asking you why you're having ups and downs. This is not the question. It is why is our relation? How do you feel it? Take a step forward and analyze it. It's the question that gives the analyzing position, yes? The one that invites for critical thinking. So I would recommend you to try to, if you're having a questionnaire or something in your mind, and you think, okay, are you satisfied with your working relation, or are you satisfied with your task delegated? Try to upgrade them, yes, and to try to go deeper into it. You can start from easy, but then to try to if you want to get more concrete results, to go deeper into it. Just a second to drink a sip of water. Okay. Now, as you can see, I prepared for you some example of questions that we can have during evaluation. This is just to give you this practical perspective, and how we do it. You can find them also in EVSification manual that I will be mentioning at the end of the webinar, because we created also a manual about EVS project. And example of questions that you can find, it is about volunteering in general, about what is going wrong, or what is going well and what is not going so well. So is there anything that happened which you are unsure about? You can ask about relations, of course. How are you getting on with the rest of the team? You can ask for ideas for improvement, as I was already mentioning. How can the volunteer program or project can be improved? So volunteering in general, what's going well, what needs to be improved, relations, ideas for improvement, of course, personal development. This is a yes/no question I see here. Do you feel like there is any support training that you might need? Development to the role. Are you satisfied, or in what measure are you satisfied? Are there any tasks that you want to do or you want to do less? This is also an important thing. When you are planning the future, you agree upon something. Yes. So you say, okay, until next month, this, and this. Or this is our working plan. This is our battle tactics or something. And evaluation is also a time for, okay, so in the last meeting, you said that you will have this, and this. Where are we with this? Yes. And then, of course, the new actions. So what should we do? Should we do further? Okay, and now we are ending this big part of methodology of evaluation. And what questions we should ask, or how should we ask them? And we are stopping now on, okay, so I have the evaluation, I know what is happening more or less, but I sometimes find some things. So here, this wonderful light bulb shows you the findings. Okay, so you have some answers, you are getting some answers, you find out some certain things. And what should we do with these things? Yes, you can find out that, for example, that one wants to fly away, like this one here. And what do you do with this? Why he wants to fly away? So the specialists say that evaluation findings.
Dana, it's Dorota speaking. Just to make sure that you know, we have about 6 minutes left. I know that you have a few slides left, so no worries. But you know, just in case.
Thank you very much. She's my time guardian. Thank you very much. So we have 4 different situations when volunteer is both motivated and able, when it's motivated but not able, is able but not motivated, and neither able nor motivated. So this is what specialist says that we can find during an evaluation. And we will start with the volunteer is motivated and able, and it's like, woohoo, it's great. The only problems that may appear here, it's that the fact that you didn't communicate clear with the expectation. So it's not very clear for the volunteer what time he should arrive or things like this. So little problems may appear, but because you didn't set very clear the expectations that you're having, or because, of course, working relation. And then what you have to do is just to try to reconcile, yes, because sometimes volunteers don't get along in work between themselves. Then the second, the volunteer is motivated but unskilled. Of course, the solution, training, learning. Sometimes it's just about upgrading skills, and sometimes it's just really trying it from the basic. We have volunteers, for example, that took 2 months to make a video. Not everybody is like autodidact, like self-teaching. So it's very, very important to be able to provide exterior help. Maybe it can be someone from the organization or something. Then we have the third situation, when the volunteer is able but not motivated. To this one, you have to find out why it's lacking motivation. And the main questions that you have to address when you see that the person is not motivated is to see, is he or she doing what was agreed to do? Is the task okay for him? Yes. Is he having enough power of decision? Is he free enough to implement his own ideas? Is the relationship working between him and the other that he's supposed to do? But also to be aware, of course, so the main point is to find out the cause of the lack of the motivation, but in the same time to be aware that motivation can be exterior to the work. Yes, we are complex human beings. You cannot guess what is the reason behind. It can be an accident in the family, it can be my lover dumping me, or it can just be very deep personal issues. So just be prepared for this. And the last one is the hardcore one. And for sure, some of you already met this type of volunteer, the one that is neither able nor motivated. And what we are doing and what I'm recommending you to do is just to try to take the volunteer and to recommend him a position that fits with his aspiration, but also with the level of the training. So we are just trying to even to contact an organization and to try to meet between somehow and to try to stimulate, to find out what is helping and what is okay for him or her according to the level of the training. And in extreme cases, of course, and it's happened even to me, to consider to firing is not the proper word, dismissal from the volunteer service if you think that nothing else is working. So what do you do to answer to this question? How do we answer to the problems? I put here an answered question, but actually I was mentioning issues, challenges that we may face and that we discover during evaluation. What is the step? And the step it is to try to meet in private, never have it in front of the people, because there are personal feelings, they are fearing of judgment, exterior judgment. So meet in private, describe the behavior. So focus on what is happening. Even better, I was reading an expert that was saying, to find out what is not going okay, put the volunteer to describe his own behavior. So instead of saying you were late today and yesterday 5 minutes, today 5 minutes, you could say, okay, describe your last 2 days of work. And you will see there that it might even show you where it was the problem, because it might even indicate, without even realizing, the volunteer might indicate what is the issue. Then I know it's a very hard thing to do, but have no interpretation. I mean, we are all coming with our personal experience and we are always all thinking in a certain way, but try to not have interpretation, not to judge the person. Then it's active listening, do not interrupt. I want to insist on a thing, evaluation meeting, because it's a dialogue meeting, the space that you dedicate on talking should be the equal space that you dedicate on listening. So listen actively, do not interrupt, let him or her tell the story until the end. Encourage honest feedback with body language, so try to show openness to what he or she is saying. And determine the real issue of what is motivating the behavior. And how you do this? By addressing question. What type of question? Not judgmental, open-ended question. Then a very crucial thing, empower people to find solution. This is a bit of coaching and counseling, but empower people to find solution to the issue. Don't give ready-made answers that might not work for them. So ask your volunteers for a successful answer to the situation. What would be best for them? What do they think? Do they need more training? Do they need more support, or the precise opposite? Do they need more freedom and they just want to do their tasks from home or working from computer? Is it enough if they are tired? Is it enough a day off, or do they need a holiday, a longer holiday, or whatever? But give them the possibility to find out the solution to their issues. Then we have the last one, and it's very important. Again, it's taken for coaching. Agree on a time frame for the resolution. So you need to have a deadline. So if you agree, if he says, or he or she says that, okay, I need some days off. Agree when, how, in what period, is it working, and then agree, okay, so we have this month when you had a more relaxed schedule, for example. We will evaluate after 1 month. Was it working? The reason of you not performing or not doing your task well, was it indeed because you were tired? So agree on a time frame where you can check how is going on the situation. Okay, and now I want to move to how evaluation looks in practice, and this will be the last part of my presentation. So this is us, me, some time ago here, and with my colleague, the project coordinator, and with our EVS volunteers. And I want to introduce you a bit into the system into our system of evaluation. So we are doing it like this. In the first month, there is an evaluation meeting every week. Why is that? Because we have a big group of volunteers, usually around 10, and there are a lot of things that they should know. The first part of any EVS project is called the orientation period or the induction period, and we want to make sure that everybody is feeling comfortable. So it's a lot of information about flats, city, work, relation, who is who, what is their role and responsibilities, what is the EVS actually, because a lot of people, a lot of volunteers, and I know you know this, probably have no idea or little idea what they signed in for. How is this language course gonna happen and so on? Who is my mentor? How often does he has to be my friend if I don't like him and so on? So in first month, we are trying to have evaluation meeting just to check a bit. Okay, is it going on okay? Did you understand? Is it clear for you who is your work coordinator, who is your supervisor, and who's your mentor, and so on? So intense, in the beginning intense. At the end of the first month, we also have like this going out of the city meeting and evaluation meeting, and we call it evaluation of the first month. I didn't write it here, but it's quite an important point. We are usually going outside the city in a forest, and we are having a first evaluation. It serves also as integration, of course. We're also giving them small tasks to help building the integration, but it's also evaluating the first month. Then every month we have an evaluation session, one that focuses on the work, and it's with the supervisors, and then it's one that is focused on personal development and all these other issues, accommodation and so on. So there it's one is doing, and that is the task of the big project coordinator. As I saw here, yes. This, how we do the work evaluation with the supervisor, it's up to each supervisor decision. Because we have the system that we have one big coordinator that is in charge of all the project, financially and meritorically also. But then we have persons that are in charge of working with the volunteers on one-to-one basis, on a daily basis, yes? So this point is for the supervisors, and then we have on the development. Then project team evaluation takes place. We also have a way of us giving feedback and evaluating the project to the big coordinator. So every month we have a survey that we are filling online that has basically few questions, but very important. Like, how are you satisfied with the work the volunteers is doing? How are you satisfied with yourself as coordinator? This is very important. What went very well and you would like to keep for the next month? So what do you really appreciate? And what would you like to improve? So they are very basic questions, just 4 or 5, something like this, but very important. Then there are, of course, meetings between EVS and their mentors. This is rather going more fluid because it's based on the relation the volunteers is having with their mentor. And we are trying also to have an evaluation with the mentors. Not that often, like with the volunteers, but from time to time. Of course, at the end of the EVS, we are organizing a final evaluation. We are going actually in the same place where we went in the first month, in the same forest, and we try to look on the whole process from the beginning. So starting from September, okay, you arrived, how did you feel? Later, how did you feel, and so on. So try to remember all the process, of course, using YouPass also, and to have a final evaluation. We are using a survey. It's actually a 2-day-long evaluation, so quite long. But we are trying to cover basically how was the process, how was the learning, how was the work organized, what competencies did you achieve And they're also, it's a time of closing the project, also to say goodbye to the other volunteers and to us. And of course, after they return to their country, they have an evaluation together with their sending organization. And from the perspective of the sending organization, we are getting the report on how it was. Okay, so this is it. At the end, I just want to point out the most important things that we were discussing. And this is evaluation is a growing opportunity, a dialogue meeting with a lot of benefits for the volunteer and for the organization. This is the sentence I would like you to stay with. When conducting evaluation, put an accent on having a proper job description. This goes a bit further before to where you're writing the project, when you are inviting the volunteer to come to join your evaluation. But please take it in mind that proper evaluation if you do not have proper job description. So if you do not know what the volunteer is supposed to do, basically. And try to follow the RAP methodology. You can try to use other methodologies, but this one is an easy one, and you can remember it very easy. It's reviewing the past, analyzing the present, and planning the future. Then the key to successful evaluation and getting proper, honest, not judgmental information and so on, it's to address the proper questions. And we took a short look on how to do that. And in EVS, of course, the accent falls on both work evaluation and personal development. So this is the two main issues that I would really like you to focus on, what we evaluate. Then identify root problem in case of volunteer that is lacking skills and or motivation, and propose with the volunteer positive actions to change that behavior. And this is the last one. Finally, do not forget the monthly evaluation cannot replace a day-to-day supervision of the volunteer performance. So the fact that you're having from time to time evaluation shouldn't replace that you're actually with that volunteer and you're having feedback sessions and you're checking on his work and so on. So this was all that I had to say. One last information that is it's important in the context of addressing question that I discovered recently, and I like it so much that I want to share it with you. I was reading this book of an American psychologist that is actually a literature writer also. I forget his name now, something with I, Yolan or something like this. Anyway, he's saying like this, he's giving examples from his working therapist, and he's saying that one of the most important tools for opening a discussion, to invite for dialogue, is to allow the person, the client, to ask questions to the interviewer, to the coordinator in our case, yes? So it's you asking questions, and in one point you can invite your volunteers to address questions to you also. And this is also giving you this feeling that we are in partnership relation, but also it can really help solving some issue that the volunteers was having and maybe was not feeling very brave or courage enough to share it with you. And I experienced this, I was testing this idea in my last evaluation sessions with my volunteers. And at least in one case, it proved to be really enlightening and opening, because I was having an evaluation with a girl and was keep on asking her how it was, and she was rather closed. And I said, okay, I will not push. And at the end, I said, okay, so maybe Veronica, you have a question for me. And she said, actually, I do. And she was saying, she asked me, don't you feel like you give too much out of you when trying to support me this month, or something like this? It was about this. And I realized that she had this impression that she was demanding too much effort from my side. And actually, the fact that she addressed me this question helped me to open, to actually start the dialogue and to have evaluation with her. So thank you. And now, as you can see, it's time for questions and answers.
Yes, so now you are on our right side of our screen. And I got few questions that I found. So now I will copy one of them. You said about three components: local community, needs of volunteer, and needs of organization. And Magda wanted to make sure, let me put it on chat, is needs of organization, is it our organization, volunteers and hosting organization, or coordinating organization?
Both. Like EVS volunteering is a bit more complex, so it's about host organization and coordinating organization, but both, I would say. Like the needs of the organization, you can put it together also, and you can try to explain them in this sense. I think a lot of people, like a lot of volunteers, especially that EVS is rather promoted as a personal development experience, and because recently volunteering has been turning into this rather individual focused action. You know, in the beginning it was about helping others, war and so on. This is the history of volunteering, but now it's much more focused on individual needs. I think it's important to remind volunteers that we are having three components here, and they should be aware, if I'm respecting your needs and I'm listening to your needs, it's also your time to listen to my needs, and as an organization, and of course as a local community, and to try to combine these needs, because otherwise you get imbalanced, and either you get frustrated, or volunteers get frustrating, or the beneficiaries are not getting what they want.
Okay, another question, the second question that I found is, I would like to know what happens when the volunteers are not welcomed among the group of people they are supposed assigned to help.
Are you talking about beneficiaries or about the project team, like the other members in the organization?
Diana will answer that.
Beneficiaries. And the beneficiaries are not accepting. Well, to be honest, it never happened to me. But I guess what it's always helping, it doesn't matter if is the member of the organization or not, it's the beneficiaries to know in time and to be prepared. Yes, so and is it their need? This is very important, but this is going back to the writing the project and to analyze the need. Is the community needing this? Is the volunteer needing this? Is EVS volunteers what they want to have somehow? And to try to prepare it, if not. And if you see that something is going on, an issue, then try to address it. This is the main thing that I would recommend you, like avoiding it or letting it just thinking, oh, it will just solve, just having a period, a phase, and so on is not helping. Address it immediately and organize a meeting. I would recommend you between the beneficiaries. Try to see what is going on there. If it's possible, try to be how do you call this? Intermediate in the conversation. I did that. Mediator. My colleague is just saying to me, mediator. So if you feel like there is the need for a mediator, then try to take this role, prepare a set of questions, and join together and organize a dialogue meeting, both with your volunteer and with the beneficiaries.
Okay, next question is from Magdalena, and this question opened more questions. So Magdalena is asking, what if the volunteer doesn't fulfill his duties at work and mediation don't help? Should we go into deeper emotions, dig deeper, or not press? And then other participants ask more questions to that situation. So what do you think about that?
Ooh, this is a hard one. It happened to me also. So I would say that if you have evaluation meetings, if you're trying to establish root cause problem, if you do agree on a plan, if the plan is not being fulfilled, so if you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, monitoring, including, I don't know, trying to respect their own needs, if they say they need more time or something like this. If none of this works, I am for resigning and dismissal, and I did that because why I did this, and I will share now my personal experience with you. I'm the person that believes, tends to believe that we are all good and we just need support and a little bit of chance and everything is gonna work out. It's just that this was my need and maybe not the volunteer need. And after trying some coaching and mediation and so on, and it didn't work out, finally I had to say goodbye. And I said goodbye in the moment when I realized how much energy and time is taking me, that one person, and don't allow me to focus on other people that are actually doing their job good. So it was a matter of trying to see what am I losing and what is the biggest priority. And I decided that the biggest priority is the well-being of the group. And the fact that he was behaving in a certain way had very big influence on me as coordinator, and with the time and energy that I had, but also on the process, on the group. So I took the decision as coordinator to take care of the group and to say goodbye. Now there are ways of saying goodbyes also. So it depends on how you say goodbye also.
So shortly, Alexandra asked what is the best way to handle two people who cannot work together, but they have to, and how can an evaluation help to solve this problem?
Oh, do they have to? I would say. Do they really have to? Because what we are trying to do, like, of course, in the beginning, it's mediation again, yes, and trying to see, okay, what is not going on. But a lot of times are so deep issues that people are not even aware of. They come with personal luggage and so on, and maybe just because that person, the second person, reminds him of a lover that broke his heart, is not willing to cooperate, and he or she doesn't even know it. So what I would say that if they really don't have to, and you can find solution of them not working together or not, then it's better to try to give them separate tasks, or to go to a different organization, or to try to arrange on a different working schedule. Or okay, they can, as far as I see, they can work in the same space, but they don't have to collaborate exactly on the same task. So if they have to make some workshops together, maybe this week it's the time for X person to have the workshop, and next week for the other person to have the workshop, or at least leading, to try to take leading task. Okay, so for this task I'm more responsible, and you should follow me or not. But I am not for pushing people. Like
Okay. I will copy now two questions, so please try to read them. The one is from Diana. How can we cope with our emotion overload while working with people in need? And another question from Dimitris. Yes, is it a good idea to ask about their personal relationships between the FOS group in front of everybody?
Okay.
Yeah.
How we can cope with our emotion overload when we are working with people in need? Are you talking about working with people with that are experiencing some type of social exclusion, and is it about you, like on your emotion, or on the volunteer emotion? I think I need a bit of precising here. So maybe
so Diana is answering, and a second question from Dimitris.
Volunteer emotion. Volunteer emotion can be addressed only by training. This is my personal belief. Like, especially if you're working exactly with a beneficiary group that might be, I don't want to say problematic, but might be having more needs than other people. Then the way to do it is to have, starting from the beginning, proper job description where you say this. Like, then you have to have orientation session from my perspective, when you tell them, okay, so this is your group of beneficiaries. They are like this, and this. It helps them prepare for the job that they will be doing. And then there is the training. Like if there is a group with special needs, then for sure volunteer has to get training in how to deal with this group. And since your organization is working on the topic, for sure you have people in the office that know this, that have been through this, that can share their personal experience and so on. So what I would say it is to offer training, and actually the first steps are more crucial. And then if you still feel like it's there is the need, maybe even have a coaching session or something, and depending on how the problem is bad or not, or like how intense it is. And is it a good idea to ask, I'm trying to read now the question from Dimitris, is it a good idea to ask about their personal relation in front of everybody? Well, depending on what you want to achieve. If you want to know that if the EVS relations are good, like if they are going well, I wouldn't go as an EVS coordinator too much into EVS relation. So what if they for example, do not like each other or they are not a big family? I would go into this if it's affecting the work, yes, and it is what I was talking before. So if it's affecting the work, if it's affecting, I don't know, the flat in the idea of not fulfilling some task, or if it's affecting the group process somehow, then I would go. But I believe that the roles should be divided on the evaluation. So the relation between volunteers should be maintained on the rather on the responsibility of the volunteers and on the mentor, maybe. And you as a coordinator to get involved only if it's affecting the work or if it's affecting the process, the group process, or so on. But yeah, this is what I would say.
Okay, so the last question that I think we can take time to answer it is from Dimitris. In which point of the program can the coordinator become friend with the volunteers?
Ooh, this is another tricky one. Well, depends on what you understand. I think it's very subjective. It depends on the volunteer and depends on the coordinator. I know that most of the guides that you will be probably reading says that you shouldn't, like, you should make a clear separation between personal life and professional. So friends, having a friendly attitude, most of the guides would say having a friendly attitude all the time from the beginning, yes. Being friends, rather not, because it may affect the working relation and it may have a big influence on the process or on the others. How can you be more friend with some and less friend with others, and this not causing some issues or some inner tensions and so on? So this friendship is rather, problematic or a sensitive topic, let's just put it like this. On the other hand, we are human beings, and we will naturally to some people more and to some people less. And I think it's also a matter of not trying to be too harsh on ourselves and to say, no, I have to be here like Buddha, trying to follow only the middle path, because we are not supermen and superwomen.
And draw something for Dana and for yourself, for your colleagues from all over the Europe. And that will be our way of saying goodbye.
Yeah, okay. Nice. You're being extremely creative, and you like this function. No, I like it also.
Yeah, I like this function. Dana, you can also add something to that drawing. Don't hesitate.
Thank you a lot. It was really nice.